Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop. Can't believe, Alan, you just said I'm technologically
I can't even say the word.
Am I illiteracy?
Yes.
Hey, guys,
that's all that.
I hope that you guys have enjoyed this podcast. Yeah, sometimes the audio isn't so good. If it's not good, man, send me an email, Chris at the Trusted Toolbox.
I always
blow
do.
me up.
I do.
Alan loves doing it, but we wouldn't be doing this for 4.5 years if the quality wasn't good most of the time, 99% of the time. But sometimes it sucks. And today we've got an award-winning podcaster, Jim Tracy, on it, Jim.
And we've already stumbled all over ourselves.
And we're just kicking ourselves. The good news is I got water in part of my house, so I'm almost established back. But
you've got a little bit more life about you right now.
I am a little bit more excited. So Jim was telling us the story about getting flight lessons.
Yeah, when he said
27-year instructor, I'm like,
okay.
Yeah,
F-16 or something. I'm like, okay, hit the button. God dang it. So what were you about to say?
Well, we were talking about technological illiteracy, and I was kind of trying to trump you guys on it because I got trained by a F-15 pilot, flew F-16s too, but mostly F-15s, and then jets from 737s to 787s. I think he flew an 87, but anyway, we get up in the air, and all of a sudden he looks at me and he goes, "Stop pressing buttons." So the first rule of flight is if you don't know what it's for, don't push it.
Well, I wonder, why were you pressing buttons?
Well, you want to make something happen, and
not when you're in the air.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to figure out how stuff works.
It seems like there's a risk reward level there that I'm not comfortable with.
Well, in a technologically advanced aircraft, it's really easy to press buttons. And as long as it's not blinking and blaring at you, it's probably good.
Oh, my God. I remember my brother-in-law is a pilot and used to have a farm down in Mexico, and I couldn't fit in his plane. But I would fly down to McAllen. He would pick me up at the border and fly me down to his farm. And at one point, he's like, can you not hit that button with your knee? And then it was, hey, can you not hit that lever with your knee? I'm like, pick one, because I don't have room for my leg.
I don't fit.
I don't fit in this plane.
Right on. Sounds like a fun flight, though.
Yeah, for somebody who's a little bit more. Yeah. We were taking off, and I felt like I was on a leaf. It was a little plane. The winds are howling, and I'm like, we can wait till tomorrow. He's like, they're always blowing like this. And as soon as we got off the ground, we just start tumbling. And then that windshield's 8 inches in front of your face. And you go through a cloud, can't see anything. And all of a sudden you see everything. Then you can't see anything. And I'm like, where's your radar? How do you know where all the other planes are? And he goes, we like to call it the big sky theory. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna ask you any more questions.
Yeah. Better off not asking those questions.
No.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to it now, you guys. Have you done talking?
Was that empathetic listening, Chris?
I
don't think it
damn
was.
thing you
I
just
know
said,
you
Alan.
were.
I was. Everybody
My freaking life.
Oh my God! Hey, people are calling in to learn and listen. Now we learned about Big Sky. We learned about pushing buttons, and we learned about Alan going in and out of clouds. All right, Cloud Chaser. Can we get going?
Dreamers fade in and out of the clouds. So, Alan, you're probably a great dreamer.
I am.
He is.
Right.
I'm just not. I'm not appreciated by my co-host.
I was appreciating you because I am not going to lie, everybody. I was handling a little work emergency in the middle of that, so I was listening.
You trashed me in the middle of it.
I did.
Yeah,
it was good. All right,
great. You multitasked well.
I'm really good at doing that. Jim Tracy coming on, everybody. Jim, introduce everybody to the JimTracy.com experience.
Wow. Well, I spent I started out life as a welder, and I met this beautiful woman up in Duluth, Minnesota, and I wanted to marry her. And so I asked her dad, I said, I'd like to marry your daughter. He said, good. Where are you going to school? I'm like, anywhere you want, sir. If that's the price of admission, I'm all in. So got out of school, had a number of jobs, and found I had this entrepreneurial itch that I always needed to scratch. So try and fail, get a new job, recover, try and fail. Did that a few times, and then started a telecommunications business with my son Ryan, and we launched in '99, incorporated in 2000, and then we went through a private equity exit in 2018, the first time, and then again in 2019, and came out of that and have had. I'm a product of the American dream, man, and did a podcast for our business and just continued it on. Now I speak for a living. Speak from stages, and I speak on a podcast, and I wrote a couple of books, and I'm just having fun, man. I'm doing what I was meant to do.
So he's everything that you want to be.
I am not only jelly, boys and girls, I am super jelly. He says it. He said 18 years. You're 17.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm just a year away from being Jim. And I can have the jimtracy.com. Of course, you guys can all go check out chrislalamia.com. But I'm slogging
busy
it, bro.
next year.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
got to hurry up and catch up to Jim. I got a year to catch up to his 17 and probably be wildly more successful than I've been. But
wait a minute, I'm a lot older than you are too, though.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But
I don't know if I agree.
so I did not realize he must be 107.
Yeah, it's not the age, it's the mileage, right?
I love it. So, man, I tell you, man, full of life. Love that story. Let's go back to the failed try, and then and then you said my win was with my son. I mean, how good does that have to feel now?
You know, one of the things that I look back on with incredible fondness is that Ryan and I worked together for a long time, and we built a lot of houses together. But when we finally gelled together in a business, we were about 3 or 4 years in, and he said, I love having you as a partner. And I was like, You know, now he's like in his early 20s. So I'm like, why do you love having me as a partner? He said, because you love me more than money. And I'm like, that's interesting. That's the way family businesses should operate. As a matter of fact, that's the way all partnerships should operate. The ideal relationship is not between you and 20 bucks. The ideal relationship with you is with the people who you impact and who impact you in your life. I always said about the guys in the field is that if they don't go to work, I go on food stamps. So I really got to take care of those guys. And so at the high point, we had a couple of hundred employees, and I was made sure to take care of them. That's how the podcast started too.
So we'll talk about the podcast. I'm going to go back to that. You said something that it is easy to say, hard to execute. Dad, you love me more than money. And I think for a lot of us in the beginning, it is hard to have that altruistic view. It's hard to have that mindset because in the beginning, I love money because money put food on the table and food on the table and the roof
And
over
once
my
I
head.
get enough money, then I'll take care of you.
Yeah, so I think that's the one. It's easy for people who have become successful, and I mean, I'll put myself there, guys. Right? 17 years doing this, being able to do this great podcast with Alan for 4.5. But you're right. But in the beginning, it's hard to have that mindset. I can tell you, I didn't have it. I mean, I was like, I just left the corporate world, and I'm like, dude, I got to hustle.
Yeah, and that hustle includes me running to the mailbox with my wife on one side and me on the other, and having somebody do an early pay, and we're like, "Yay, we get to make payroll this week!" or me calling Ryan and saying, "Hey, Ryan, I hope you've been saving because you're going to have to write me a big check. We're both stroking checks to make payroll this week." And so we took our savings, and it's. Small business and entrepreneurship is gambling of the finest sort. We bet our houses every day. I mean, it's just like, but a lot of people say you're born an entrepreneur, but I think it's both born and built. Because you have entrepreneurship, after you enter it, you realize it's something you cannot not do. You have to do it because it's the way you are. It's the way you've been raised. Yeah, Ray, you've been built.
Amen, brother. I tell people now, Even if I wanted to go back to the corporate world, I'm unemployable. Somebody goes, "Oh no, I'm sure somebody will hire you." I'm like,
No.
they might hire me for like a week, maybe two.
Yeah.
I might get 4 paychecks, but I probably won't get that fifth
Couple
one.
visits to HR along the way.
Yeah. So I think you're right because once I got a taste of it, I've told people a lot that for me and Alan did the same thing. I said I just never wanted to be 60-year-old and go, I wonder if I could.
Yeah.
And I wanted to take that
No
shot
kidding.
and figure I could always do it. So fear drove me more than reward.
Yeah.
And that's like I said, it's hard to have that mindset you had in the beginning of
Hmm.
abundance and true love and joy for what you're doing. But you do because you just talked about running to the mailbox. I remember driving 7 miles in Atlanta traffic, which means you're an hour, getting a check, driving another 2 miles, which means half an hour, making it 429, putting the deposit in the bank to make
Yeah.
payroll the next morning.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
that
You know,
passion
you,
that
you
drives you.
actually said something. I was listening to a Rogan podcast with the founder of NVIDIA, and he
Mm.
actually confessed on that podcast. He goes, I was always more motivated by the fear of failure than the desire to achieve.
Yeah.
I agree. For me, it was. I think the fear of failure or fear of just not knowing drove me to say I'm going to leave this cushy, high-paying job that isn't forever. But it also, I just felt like I was wasting away. I mean, again, I don't say it to brag. I tell people all the time. I made a lot of money. When I left, people are sitting there with their jaws going, "I can't believe you're doing this."
Yeah.
And looking back, and I'm
We
like,
still are like, I can't believe we did this either.
I can't believe I did this either. But once you get it, you get a taste of it. You're like, you know what? You're on that drug, and it's fun.
Yeah. You know,
Go ahead.
one of the things that's so awesome about that is before we started Legacy Telecommunications, I worked for a corporate enterprise and I was kind of the young rising star. And I started my week in Seattle and I went Phoenix, Salt Lake, Denver, Chicago, DC, and then I was back on a plane and I was headed over Chicago to San Francisco so I could catch a flight to Narita, Tokyo. And I looked down at Chicago and I looked at my watch and I thought, I'm missing my daughter's swim meet. I quit. And 2 months later, I was in the CEO's office saying, "Hey, man, I quit." And they're like, "Oh, no, 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 you don't understand. What do we got to do? What do we got to do?" I'm like, "You're not the problem. I'm the problem. Because if I do this job halfways, it's not going to be right, and everybody is going to revolt under me. So I'm tapping out." And they're like, "No, no, 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 no. You got to stop and consider it." Like, no, I don't. I like
You
I'm
you said something else I think is really good. I think right now, especially in the evolution of entrepreneurship, you can do the side hustle. And I
yeah,
think there's a lot of great side hustles you could do, but I'm not built side hustle guy. I'm
nope,
built all in guy.
yeah,
And that's why I put that in my book. And I said, a guy told me, he said, you're either halfway in or all the way out. And that's Jerry. And I did.
yeah,
And I was all the way in. And next thing you know, I was up to my eyeballs and then over my head and then swimming through it because it was 2008. And here comes the recession just smacking me around. But,
yeah.
I think
You dropped the book thing to a guy who's got three.
I know I only have one.
I mean,
But
come on.
I did try to slip it in there.
You
a little
did
bit.
slip it in there.
So, hey,
And I'm
well,
calling
look
you
up
out
the
on
Jim
it.
Tracy experience. Don't forget about From the Zoo to the Wild. Little book, but it's okay. It's a good book.
Hey,
It's
Jim,
good.
before
A
Chris
great
keeps
book.
going, I want to ask you about this. You talked about taking care of your employees, and we got
Mhm.
we got a lot of small business people who are in our audience. Well, what does that mean to you? And then how do you take care of people in a way that they actually realize that you're taking care of them? Because there's such high expectations from employees these days.
Yeah, I did an interview, and this was years ago, and they said, and it was right after we closed the first private equity deal, and everybody thinks you're a rock star, and everybody wants to talk to you, and it's really not true. But they said, what in your role as CEO, what stands out as you as like the most important thing you did? And I said, and I still maintain to this day that my most important job was handwriting a birthday card to every employee and having it arrive on the week of their birthday. Now, someone addressed them for me, I confess it, but I hand wrote and I found something positive to encourage that person, whether it's like your team says you're great, you show up on time. I mean, whatever it is and some of them I didn't even know or know very well. And so I had to search a little bit to find something positive to write because when you got that many people, all of a sudden it becomes an exercise. But I had grown men come back to me months and even years later and throw their arms around me and hug me and say, that birthday card meant everything to me. And it's
Wow.
really true. If you take the time to show them that you care just a little, that means a lot, especially coming from, quote, the top dog or the big man or the actual guy or whatever you call yourself. If you're leading a team and they know you care, it's priceless to them.
I love that you said that. And if you're out there right now going, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start sending birthday cards to everybody. Hey, if that's not you, though, don't do it. You got to be authentic. You got to find
Yeah.
your authentic you because people will see that. And then I think that's where they start to resonate and follow with you. And I love, for you, it was birthday cards. We do the birthday cards, the
I'm
anniversaries.
sure it was more than a birthday card with
No.
Jim.
Well, but Jim, that's what I mean. It's so authentic and it was real to him. He found something positive to say about what they did and recognize their individual contribution. If that's not where you're at, but find your thing and be
Yeah.
authentic with it, and people will see that and they'll resonate and they'll follow you. I mean,
Especially if you're
I
in a
love it.
service industry where people are leaving your place, go out to where they're working and say hello so you recognize what they do for a living that lets you go to the grocery store. I mean, if we can learn to again go out and touch people as leaders, then all of a sudden they feel like they matter. And if they matter, then workforce development problems evaporate because people want to work for you. And that really is true. We found that to be incredibly true.
That's a great point. I do the same. I've got a distributed workforce with my handymen and my remodelers. And when I come on a job site, typically lately it's been just because I'm the GC and the engineer to look at something big.
Yeah.
But when I sit there and go, hey man, I like that setup. Oh yeah, what are you doing with that? And the next thing you know, you ask them about their tool. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, how's that? Man, I love my oscillating saw. And you have that, and you walk away. That's worth the birthday card. So there is an
Yeah.
authentic touch you can have. You got to find your authentic, and I think, I'm out there, and I love this stuff anyway. So, but it bleeds through, and you're right. I think Jim, when I walk away, I didn't realize the impact, but I do when I see them in training because I bring all my guys in for training every other Wednesday, so they can feel our culture of who we are and what we do. And I think you're hitting on a lot of great points. That I don't care if you have 3 people or 100 people, and it sounds like you were a big dog. That was 100 people. That's a lot, man. I'm at 32, and I'm only in one or two cities, but you were all over the nation, if not worldwide.
Well, we had four locations, now five, but after we did the second merge with four other companies, we were, if you take a line between Seattle and Miami, everything south of that line is pretty much what we covered. So that was a big lift. But the other thing that comes into play is that you don't have to. It doesn't have to be like formal. I did the safety checks, and everybody cringes when they hear safety. When they say me coming on the job site, like I would go and I would say, okay, everybody, it's a requirement to have safety glasses on your person. So everybody got them, and invariably, there would be that one guy who didn't, and so I wouldn't play dollar poker with him. The other four of us would play dollar poker, and the winner, I would hand them a set of brand new binoculars. And this is a place where a lot of people hunt, a lot of people like use binoculars, and I would just like buy a whole. And sometimes it was binoculars, sometimes it was rangefinder, sometimes, but it's a $150 gift or something like that, and it's just for having your safety glasses on your person.
But you
Like,
made the visit from the big cheese something to look
yeah,
forward to.
yeah.
What a
Well,
huge nugget that is.
and then make them not hate safety, make them love safety. Your encouragement now is like, don't get stuck without your safety glasses because you got to have them on your face when you're cutting, striking, or grinding, but you got to have them on your person if you're going to use them when those opportunities arise. So, man, it's just like, let's make safety fun again. I say
I
it's the
love it.
most scalable thing in the planet.
Safety. We do a
Make
safety class.
safety fun again. That's just a t-shirt.
Make safety fun again. Actually, I said, I talk to everybody when they come in. I'm like, have you been OSHA trained? Because we don't need to do OSHA in our world. And then some will say, oh yes, I'm OSHA 10. I'm like, great. I said, did you like the classes? I said, okay, you're lying. You didn't. I said, so our safety classes, we start it with, here's our slogan: don't do stupid shit.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, everybody perks up like, okay, I'll listen now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because you're right.
I was told him a story about our electrician who lost sight in one of his eyes, and I relate that to him. I said, I want you to think about sitting down to dinner with your wife, your sweetie, your fiance, whoever it is, and I want you to think about leaning in towards her over the candlelight and having her gaze into your eye. Oh, wait, you're supposed to have two.
Oh, I'm stealing that, and I'm going to take credit for it, Jim. And Alan will attest to that. I do steal all of his stuff.
He
and
steals a lot of
Nice.
stuff, and he
That's good.
forgets where he got it from.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Did I mention I have this great thing I do at Christmas?
No, I didn't even. Yeah. Hey, Jim, when you acquire a company, how do you make sure your culture permeates the new entity versus the other way around?
Wow, what a great question. So there's some rules that we have always used, and they're simple rules. And it depends upon your target when you're acquiring. So first, number one, and I'm going to make it PG rated because the other version was not PG rated. But
No, go ahead, because Chris has already blown that out of the water 4.5 years.
well, we don't work
the
with
fuck up,
jerks.
Oh,
Yeah, we don't work with jerks. And that means if you're spending time with someone and you're realizing that you would not want to spend time with them at the bar, at the bowling alley, at the trap range, wherever you have fun. If you wouldn't want to have fun with them, why would you want to sit in a boardroom with them? Okay? And then when you look a little further, if you're going into a market to actually acquire more market share, then you want to look and say, hey, are they a dominant player in their industry for more than one customer? I mean, unless you're doing for a lot of little customers, then or like a lot or homeowners, but are they dominant in that marketplace? Then that's another box you can check. And number three, are their financials squared away? Because if they can't count, I'm not going to count for him. I don't like. I got a CFO, but I'm not going to saddle him with somebody who can't count. And then there's other like lesser things, but as you do your due diligence and you drill down into that, the more you drill, the more you find. And the last one is be certain. If you're looking across the table at your wife, my wife and I have been married for 45 years, and if I sit across the table from her and I think, I don't really know if this is going to work out. See, that's a problem. Because when you merge with someone or when you acquire someone, they're coming in and hopefully for the long haul. So you got to make sure they got some runway left too, because but then, as far as making sure their culture fits yours, you better do that pre-acquisition. Because if I'm all about safety and they're like, yeah, that's pretty important. I'm like, well, no, it's not pretty important. It's like I have walked down the sidewalk to say, hey, your husband's in the hospital and it's midnight and I'm going to tell you he's going to be okay, but you have to come with me. And anybody who's made that 50-yard walk up a sidewalk at midnight knows exactly what I'm talking about.
oh boy.
Yeah.
So, talk to me just real quick about the business you did start with your husband. Wait, not with your husband. Oh my God, with your son. You said it was telecommunications, but it sounds like you were doing some grinding, some work, some installations. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So we built wireless infrastructure, starting with towers and then a lot of rooftops in dense urban areas. And then we started a generator business where we put standby power in, and we did a lot of residences that way. So it was a service business, but then you do oil changes on those and you repair them. But that quickly morphed into only commercial. And that must be boring, Chris.
No, God.
Poor guy's yawning, man. Wow. He is so busted.
Damn it. Not bored, everybody.
Such a short attention span, I'm telling you.
No,
and
it was,
thank you for calling him out.
Here, I was thrilled with this stuff because when you say telecommunications, I honestly was thinking wireless Hall of Fame. I was thinking this guy liked to sit behind a desk and do a bunch of coding. These guys are out there doing the heavy lifting stuff, man. I thought that's why I wanted to hear this.
Ground clearing, foundations, excavation, foundation, stacking the steel, hanging the antennas, cabling down to a base transmitting station, running power. And a lot of people think wireless just operates all wireless. No, we bring fiber from the phone system to the tower, and that's what carries your message. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so I was interested, but thank you for the call out. God, I got two of you. Now I'm 2-on-1. All right. I'm used to this now. All
Alan
right.
paid me for that.
Alan, you're my favorite guest. So I mean, obviously, this is because you talked about taking that walk to talk to somebody. I was like, so what they do? Like, get a hangnail on their computer? I mean, did a keyboard pop off their eye? And they're like, no, man, we're literally doing the infrastructure that people don't realize that's blue collar related.
He started as a welder.
Yeah, well, this was in a manufacturing plant in a previous job, and there were two fingers laying on the ground, and they called me to go pick up his fingers on the night shift. So I was the general manager of that manufacturing facility, and I did pick up his fingers, and I did get him to the hospital a little too late, and I did go get his wife and bring her to the hospital, and it was not. I call that the longest walk I've ever taken. That distance between my car and her porch. It's more awful than I can explain.
Did they get the fingers back on?
Negative. Too late.
Oh, pack them in ice.
We did, but they were also laying in sawdust.
You know,
I want to know, did you use like a paper towel to pick them up, or did you just pick them up?
I just picked him up, man.
Wow.
Well, this is in the this is in the 90s, so we weren't worried about communicable diseases, and I wasn't going to get COVID from a finger.
I love it.
Or any of those other
I think we
bloodborne
just found the
pathogens.
title of this podcast. Finger by finger.
Yeah.
Success with Jim Tracy.
Yeah.
So obviously you've evolved. I mean, I love that you did this. You've mentioned the private equity exit one, private equity exit 2.
Mm-hmm.
When did that become a strategy with you and your son? Because you started in 1999.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't in the business plan at the time after 18 years, but talk a little bit about how that evolved.
Well, I always knew that I had to build our business so it would be attractive for somebody else to buy. I was trained in my corporate career for that. So I kind of set that table or set those expectations both for growth and revenue and margin profile and customer concentration. So I knew a little bit, and so that's how we built the business. So my son had, since he was 8 years old, always wanted to be a rancher. And he came to me one day and he said, Dad, I'm 13 years into a 5-year commitment. And if I don't go be a rancher pretty soon, I'm not going to be able to. So that's when we made the decision that we're going to transition to somebody else who could help us grow the business. I was going to stay involved, which I did. And Ryan moved into the ranching world. And I have a first generation rancher son, and I'm really proud of him. But
Where's he a rancher?
In Washington State.
No kidding. Eastern
Yeah,
Washington?
Eastern Washington, correct. Yeah.
Got it. Wow.
And so he's incredibly successful taking it right to market. It's really cool. But because he's a businessman before he's a rancher, he just wouldn't recognize that part of it. We went into a broad auction into the marketplace and ended up with quite a few offers. One was incredibly attractive from, hey, here's my buddies, Tower Arch Capital. Yeah, out of Salt Lake City. They were a private equity company along with Enertech and Eastex Tower that we kind of merged these three together. And then we added a couple more into it, but that was in 2018. And then we rolled that. We grew it enough and kept it profitable enough to roll it to another private equity firm that made that acquisition called Ontivity in 2019. And they're going strong today.
Now, are you actively involved at all, or are you on the board or anything involved with that?
Yeah, I'm a shareholder yet, and I'm on the board, and I'm incredibly grateful that that they take advice from a entrepreneur still, because private equity folks a lot of times have their methodology, and I'm just grateful that these folks are listening.
No, that's awesome. I love that. And so let's talk about this because I've been dying to ask this question. Let's get to it. The Grampian podcast. What is the Grampian?
Okay, so I'll make a short story long. My grandson Wesley and I were playing cribbage at a lake cabin, and I beat him. And Wesley is an incredibly competitive young man. At this point, he's probably 13 years old, and he stands up and throws down his cards and says, "You're not Grandpa." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, sonny boy? Them's fighting words." And he said, "Well, you're not a champion either." And I'm like,
Wow.
that's weird. And then he got that Wesley wry smile on his face. He says, "You're the Grampian." And I'm like, whoa. And it
Nice.
stuck. And a lot of my grandkids, I got 20 grandkids now.
Holy
And
cow.
a lot of my grandkids will call me the Grampian on a regular basis. So that's where I would not be so bold as to give myself that moniker. But what I would do is say, if I earned it, man, I'll wear it.
I love that.
And so now it's, yeah, Grandpa Chats with Champions. And so I get really cool people and I learn so much. The best part about podcasting is like you learn an incredible amount from these guests. It's amazing.
I have to say that that was not my motive, obviously, in the beginning, and that has definitely been an outcome and unintended consequence, which I talk about a lot in my businesses.
Yeah.
Is the amazing people we get to talk to, and just I get charged up after getting together with Alan, and people ask me, "You've been doing it for 4.5 years," and I said, there's times where I took a break, and we had banked a couple of episodes, and I came back, and he says, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "Well, I was kind of in the dumps." I said, "But I was seriously looking forward to getting back in here and talking with you and getting a chance to talk to other great people that we wouldn't have had a chance to talk to." So I think this has been amazing. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. Talking about the Grampian. You're doing the podcast. How long you been doing it?
Interesting story. That legacy business that I talked to you about, I walked in our shop one day out in the back, and there was a guy there that I didn't know. And I'm like, "Who are you? Like, why are you in my shop?" And he turned to me and he kind of smiled and he said, well, I work for you. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know his name. And then we were up to 3 locations. So I'm like, I'm not able to input in their lives anymore. And I really want to. So we started what we called Legacy Radio. And it was a call in, it was a mandatory call in where I just went on a 15-minute explanation of the who, the why, the where, the what we were doing, the how is it going, the safety initiatives. If it's Thanksgiving, we talked about being grateful. It was about Christmas, we talked about the season coming up and why things were important. And what I got to do was unveil my heart in front of our people. And I did. It was really funny because the first show that we did was live, and one of the guys who was helping me on the technology side, he said, you can't do this live. There's no way you're going to take questions, and they're going to be questions that you don't like or you can't answer, and you're going to be embarrassed in front of your whole staff. And I'm like, nah, we're doing it live.
I like it. Damn the torpedoes. They're going full steam in.
So the very first version of it, this guy comes on the line. He says, "Jim, I'd like to ask you a question." And I'm like, "All right, man, go ahead." And he said, "How much do you make?" And I said,
Ooh.
"Wow, that's a great question. How much do you make?" And he said, "Well, I don't really want to say in front of all these people." I'm like, "Cool, me neither." So next question. And we worked our way through it. And if you're just transparent with people, I mean, if I can say none ya, and people understand that none your business.
Yeah.
Or I can say I don't know. And when people grab a hold of that transparency, it's a benefit. They trust you then. Because you can say, "Hey, I don't know, but next week I'm going to have the answer for you." And so that turned into on radio when we merged all these companies together, and that turned into video and not live. And then when I kind of exited the on radio thing, we went to Grampian, and we've done 100 episodes, and it's really, I mean, we have 60,000 YouTube subscribers now, and I can't even imagine why anybody would be stupid enough to listen to me for that. But apparently they like the guests.
And now you're a keynote speaker.
Yeah.
And so is your primary topic leadership?
It used to be when I first started, it was. But what I found is that I did a speech in Colorado and I said, "Hey, man, I'm going to come and give you the 7 C's of leadership. It's going to be awesome. Stand by for news." And they said, "Yeah, we don't want that. The economy is
Really?
uncertain. Everybody's worried about keeping their job or getting a job or whether they're going to be laid off or whether their number two is going to say, 'Hey, sorry, no bonus.' So the economy is incredibly uncertain. We'd like you to talk about that." And so I came to the point where I said, "Hey, let's embrace uncertainty." Because if you think about it for a minute, and this is part of the keynote, if you think about it, are interest rates going to go up or are they going to go down?
Well, they're starting to
Uh,
trend down right now, but
but they could go
Yes.
back up.
The answer
And
is yes.
they can go
And
up, and
so
they definitely could go down. They can
if
go
you
up
if
though,
you prepare
but
for
probably
them to
down.
go up and if you prepare for them to go down and your competitor doesn't, do you have an advantage?
yes.
Oh, embrace that uncertainty. Well, what about unemployment rates? What if they go up or what if they go down? Yes. So prepare for both. And that preparation makes you a more formidable opponent for any competitor. So let's embrace that uncertainty by preparation and then execution. So if you prepare for it and don't do anything about it, then that just makes you kind of, you should probably go into accounting or something. Sorry for all the accountants out there, but somebody's got to count the beans, or the lawyers. They,
Studio forgiven.
Where did that
but
phrase come from, by the way? Count the beans.
yeah, who
Was, be-
knows?
You know
was
what? I'll have
beans
to look
ever
that
a
up.
beans was never a commodity.
It
So
might have been a commodity.
maybe it was. All right, we'll look
Maybe
it
it
up
was
later.
so
But
important it was a currency.
Yeah,
but Jim, you actually hit something
tulip
that's very
bulbs.
topical, and that's the uncertainty of the world and where we are right now. And I think probably for a little while is uncertainty. Are tariffs
Yeah,
going to play? Yes. Are tariffs going to be applied? Yes. Are they not going to be applied? Yes. Guess what? You don't know. You just got
yeah,
to keep going.
yeah.
Think like I say, always there's only two things certain in life: death and taxes. But yeah, I think managing through the uncertainty and understanding your clients, understanding your customers you serve and their uncertainty has helped us in our sales pitch talk about
Oh yeah.
how to do that. And it's been difficult because it's a hard conversation to talk about that with people who are uncertain.
So
I don't
yeah,
know.
but if you anticipate it, then you create then you understand their objection. And if you understand their objection, then you can, I don't want to say counter it because, but you can logically address it as a concern that says, "Hey, I understand. So I understand how you feel. I felt that way myself, but the truth is here." And when you
Right.
explain it like that, people go like, "Oh, okay."
I got to go back to one thing you said. Somebody said, "Hey, how much do you make?" I actually hit that right in front of the head because I do I bring my guys in all around Atlanta and Athens, zooms in. And so one day I said, let me tell you what I've heard. I said, I haven't heard it in this room. I heard it from a group of other people who own their own businesses. And it's a study out there that says that you guys think that if you collect $1,000 check, we're a handyman. So our average ticket is anywhere between 1,500 for a time and materials to a $3,200 sales job.
Yeah.
You think for every 1,000 that Chris gets 400 of those. I said, let me break it down for you. I said, here, 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 here. If I'm lucky and everything goes right, of those 1,000, I'll be lucky to see 50. And with that 50, then I get to go do what? Buy those trucks and do these other things and do this. I said, so we're all working for the same thing. And I said, I just sitting in front of you telling you this is where we're going to go and this is what we're going to do with certainty. But to use your term, I said, but guess what? I'm in the same boat as you guys. I
Yeah.
said, and I tell the sales guys, nobody wants to be out there doing what you do. I don't think you guys want to be in sales. And I said, I'm pretty damn sure nobody in here wants to be walking into QuickBooks after this meeting like I'm about to. And
Yeah.
I never said the term counting the beans, but nobody wants to be doing that because they want to be out there working with their hands, doing their thing. Now, here you are as the Grampian doing this. Are you back to actually doing anything with your hands, like the welding? Are you doing any creating like that anymore?
Yeah, I'm hunting ducks.
Nice. So where do you live?
Boise, Idaho, in the Boise area, a little town called Eagle.
Okay. So you're out there hunting, shooting shit. Got to get it done. That's what
We
we
were
do.
hunting ducks this morning with my son-in-law on the Snake River, man. It was awesome.
Man, Snake River.
So
Nice.
Alan's jelly because he's from Oregon originally, and that's why he knew the ranchers in Eastern Washington.
Because they're not in Western Washington for sure.
Yeah.
That's right. That's tech people. Man, this has been awesome. So,
Oh no, it's not the tech people; it's the crazies. Now, I lived in the Seattle market for 27 years, and I am definitely a refugee.
Yeah.
oh, you got out.
Get over the mountains.
Man, Jim, we're
Yeah.
coming up on the end
Hey,
of this thing.
I do have an answer.
I want to hear where did Counting the Beans come
Count
from?
the Beans came primarily from ancient Greek democracy, where white and black beans were used for secret voting, making bean counters impartial election officials.
How about that? So
Yeah,
it's not
so we
about
learned
money.
something.
Yeah, it never was the All right, there we go.
Hey,
learned
we
something.
could
Thank
use
you,
those
Alan.
today. We could use an impartial election.
We should go back to beans.
Phew. Yeah, this. You know what? Maybe we should make this a political podcast, and along with true crime. True crime is still going to be the killer winner. Jim, man, we're coming up on the end of this thing. This has been awesome. So, how can everybody find you out there and find your podcast, et cetera?
I guess the easiest way is on YouTube. Just look up the Grampian, Grampion, Grampian podcast, or thejimtracy.com. There's more than one Jim Tracy. I'm like the fifth or sixth. So
No.
but I am the Jim Tracy.
You are the Jim Tracy. There's only one in my book and Alan's
There you
book.
go.
You're number one in our hearts, Jim.
I don't know.
The Jim Tracy.
When's Wesley going to figure out he needs to get a cut of the Grampian branding?
Wesley has no problem demanding that. Let me tell you.
Wesley, I know you won't
Hey, I
listen
tell
to
you
this
what.
because this is old people just talking. Building
Here's the
men.
cover. This is the cover of the book, and that's Wes on the cover of the book. Now he wants name, image, and likeness.
Nice. You go, Wes.
Oh, I like this kid. Can I say
It
sportation?
makes me feel good about the future when we got kids like Wes.
You know what? I want more of those kids. I love that. I love having those kids who are asking for it. Austin, just a quick story. Austin was at a home show with me, and it was late. It was Saturday evening. The show closes at 6. It's 5:55. Here comes the lady. I profiled, looked at her. She didn't look like she had the right clothes on. I was tired. I walk away. My son sticks a brochure and says, "Hey, ma'am, here's what we do." And he gives her the whole line. I hear him doing the shtick. I'm like, so proud of my son. Way to go. And then she turns around and says, "Well, tell me your young man." And she comes up and she says, "This impressive young man says you guys know how to remodel bathrooms." I said, "Yes, we do." She goes, "Well, I want to get mine done." I'm like, "All right, well, let me come out there and look." Going back now, she has spent over $350,000 with my company.
Wow, what a good story that is.
But
Cha-ching.
yes, and he says, but my son, who's now in law school, immediately the year after says, "Hey,
Yeah,
Dad,
exactly.
where's my cut?"
Yeah.
I said, "Your cut is you're going to law school." So this is
Well,
years ago. But
one thing I learned is Ryan raised 4 boys on that ranch that we talked about, and I can tell you that as an employer, if you get an employee who can read a tape measure, you just hired a farm kid.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and a kid is not afraid to get dirty and do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pick this up, I'll pick that up, I'll put that up, I'll do this. Yeah, they learn amazing life skills that they don't realize are success skills.
Yeah, for sure.
Regardless of what you do, white collar, blue collar, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
all right, Jim, I don't know if you're ready for this, but we got to ask you these final 4 questions.
Uh-oh.
What is a favorite book you would tell the adventure team of the Small Business Safari that they need to read?
That you didn't write.
And Jim's got 4.
That I didn't write. I would, I sit down every morning and I read the Bible in a year. It breaks the Bible into 365 readings. You get a little Psalms, little Proverbs, little New Testament, little Old Testament. And I think that keeps me grounded.
Nice. Well, you can't beat the good book. Although we did just today say that the book, we talked about how you run a board meeting, and we use the Robert's Rules of Board Meeting Etiquette, right? Well, the lady says, "This book's as thick as a Bible." And one lady says, "Well, we need a smaller one, and I don't know if I like that. I mean, I like Bible, but I don't want that." I said, so let me get this straight. Bible good, Robert's Rules of Board running, you want it short.
Yeah.
He goes, "Yes." I said, "Okay, just want to make sure it's all on the record so nobody thinks that Gabrielle does not like the Bible." All right, Bible good. Thank you, Jim.
All right.
We could all do that. All right. What's the favorite feature of your home? And
Ooh,
it can't be that you can shoot ducks from your backyard or your basement or your bedroom.
well, that was it. Okay, you just spoiled that one. But I think the pool. I'd never had a pool before, and when we moved to Idaho, I got a pool, and I think that most days after work, I just like fall over into that thing. And my wife is Dutch, and so she says, you don't need to heat that to 88. And I smile and I say, but I can.
You can.
But I can.
I do have to
Yeah.
ask. You've got a pretty cool looking office. What you have an American flag in a case there. What is that representing?
So that was given to me. That was flown over the United States Capitol, and I had a U.S. congressman and senator present me with that flag on the day that I was inducted into the Wireless Hall of Fame.
Wireless Hall of Fame was going to bring it up, but he brought it up for me. He's in the
Okay.
Wireless Hall of Fame, but he was the one actually out there doing the hard work, the digging, the landscaping, putting the stuff up. Not you specifically, but you knew what it took to do that stuff. And I'll bet you, if something was going wrong, you'd probably grab the welder and started running the bead yourself. So,
Hey man, a shovel.
oh yeah, man
You
can work
can
a
find
shovel.
me on a shovel. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had my plumber from Jefferson said, "Can that man work a shovel?" I said, I don't know. He goes, boys today don't know if they know how to work a shovel.
Yeah.
So that's my plumber from Jefferson, Georgia. Love him. Bob Hayes, always in perpetuity. God rest his peace. All right, let's go.
Yep.
Ready?
Yep.
We got to talk customer service. Jim's all into it. Jim, we are big into customer service. We haven't talked about a lot of it, but we talked about taking care of people who take care of our people. Alan's kind of a customer service freak. He's kind of crazy about this. What's a customer service pet peeve of yours when you're the customer?
If you say Wednesday, don't come Thursday. Don't even bother. Our contract is already broken, whether it be verbal, written, or implied. If you want, if you want to do it, if you want a deadline on Wednesday, then tell me Thursday and have it done on Wednesday, and I'll be happy, happy, happy.
Happy, happy, happy. Ooh, that's a phrase. Where'd that come from? Duck Dynasty.
Yep.
Well, rest in peace to him too. as
Phil
well.
Robertson. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I agree with you. You know, your word is your bond. We talk about this a lot, especially in the tradie world we're in, tradies being from Australia. But here, as contractors, we are notorious for telling you
What you want to hear.
what we think you want to hear and
Yeah.
not give you the bad news.
And in his scenario, I'd be fine if you said Thursday.
And we
make
hit
it
Wednesday.
Yeah.
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 It's not that hard, but you're like
It's called under promise and over deliver.
100%.
And people, I keep telling the guys, I've never had anybody ever sit there and scream at me because I was early.
Yeah, I hate you because you're early. Now, I hate you because you're late has a different connotation.
Yeah.
Then they're throwing their checkbook away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're not doing it. I was actually going the other way. He's got 20 grandkids. He goes, "Hey, I'm late." What? Oh shit.
Chris. Sometimes you should just whisper in my ear before you say
was that?
something. Yeah.
I didn't use my inside
Yeah.
voice.
You didn't use
you know,
your
I was
inside.
thinking it. I was thinking I probably shouldn't say it.
But it comes out. But it just comes out.
It just came out. All right, last thing. Give us a DIY nightmare story.
Okay.
I want some good ones too. 'Cause
So,
come on, brother, I know you can.
as a builder, I did a project, and you know how you lay hardwood floors either this way or this way, okay? And if you have a long hallway and you lay it this way, then you got to sand it that way, and so you get little cup on both sides. And the poor lady that I built the house for, she came up the steps because she had surgery on both feet. She came up on her knees and her elbows, and she rested with the front door wide open, and she could look down that hallway and she could see the cup.
Well, that's
in
not
her
fair. She's
floor.
on her hands and knees.
Well, that's the only way you'd ever see it. But she began to weep.
Oh.
And I redid that floor 4 more times. And I finally had to get my wife and say, you need to deal with her because I can't do this again. And my wife actually took care of her. So, but to have somebody cry over some piece of work that you did that was actually it was pretty fantastic. And all 4 times. But that's a DIY nightmare.
That's a customer nightmare.
That one is.
Well, I guess that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm
Maybe you can
depressed for
explain
you.
like it's just the curvature of the earth or something like
No,
that.
I'm telling you, man. How about I'll give you guys another great one. This is a contractor nightmare story. Lady says I want an accent wall in my sitting room, and my guys and I quoted it, and I said yes. When they got there, she said not only did she not want flat nor satin, she wanted a semi-gloss wall, and they went and bought and put on semi-gloss. She said, Chris, you guys have ruined my house. And she was in tears on the phone. When I got out there, she actually got a ladder and put blue tape all over this accent wall. There was more blue tape on this wall than actual paint. That's how bad it was. I said, Wendy, I think I got the point. I said, but let's talk a little bit more about what we're talking about. I said, do you know how buildings are made and how this wall works? And she did listen. It did take me about 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's about how long it took for me to tell her that we went back. We finally agreed to go back to an eggshell.
Yeah.
But it was unreal. But to have somebody tell you how bad you guys are after, by the way, that was one accent wall, and this was not a handyman project. We had done $25,000 worth of work, and
Yeah.
everything else was just perfect because she is very, very OCD, clearly.
Yeah.
But more blue tape than paint on a wall.
You know what the good news is? You don't have to do it again. But the bad news is you'll never get those 3 hours back, man.
Never get those 3 hours back. Just like this podcast, you guys got to learn something. You got to have a lot of time invested in this. I know you're probably listening in the truck. I know you're out there slogging, driving. Hopefully you're getting something out of this, man, because we're in this together. Hey, brother, come on, send me an email, chris@thetrustedtoolbox.com. Let me know. Love hearing from you guys. But you got the Grampian on here, and you learned something out of this because we got to learn something. We got to keep going. Let's fly to those clouds, get out of those clouds, get to the moon. We got to go.
Cheers, everybody.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.